Ha! Big Game Lane. Okay, I see you, big dog. I see you. What's going on, everybody? My name is Daniel Augustin. This is multi-hyphenate AF. Before I move forward, please do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. Over 90% of the people who watch these videos are not subscribed. That's crazy. Just tap that button. It's literally right there. I really appreciate it. All right. Now, man, let's talk about Ole Miss and Oklahoma. Let's talk about that. The fact that this, in my opinion, this was single-handedly the biggest game of Ole Miss's tenure, if you ask me. Of Ole Miss. Maybe somebody can say the game against the Gators last year was one of those games as well. Because they underperformed, they came up short, and if they win that game, they're in the college football playoff. This game was huge. Oklahoma is probably one of the toughest opponents that they're going to see for the rest of the season. I know that they have a quick look at their schedule. I know that they have South Carolina and the Citadel, the Gators, and Mississippi State. Mississippi State is going to play you tough, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ole Miss beats the cowbell shit out of them. I wouldn't be surprised. South Carolina, I think that one right there ends up being a better game than people expect. South Carolina is going to be a pest at the end of the day. They're trying to get one of these wins. So everybody got to keep their eye on Ole Miss for so many reasons. Ole Miss is low-key like this year's team of the dance. They're the team in the spotlight. Everybody's talking about Lane Kiffin. The LSU job just opened up. Florida's job is open. Everybody's like, where's Lane going to go? What's Lane going to do at Ole Miss? If Lane Kiffin mess around and get this Ole Miss team to the playoffs, they mess around and win 1, 2, 3 games, they get to the Final Four, they mess around and get to the championship game, bruh, he got the license to mess around and like push the price up to 13, 14, 15 mil at any one of these schools. He going to mess around and have the ability to be like, I got Ole Miss to the championship game. I want to go do something different. But he's also got the ability to win a championship at Ole Miss. Listen, I've been taking some time. I've been watching interviews with Lane Kiffin. I'm trying to study him. I'm trying to get to know him. I'm trying to figure out why the hell people keep saying he's the best coach for the Florida Gators job. I don't see it when I look at his resume. When I look at his resume, I see a host of failures. Host of them. I see nothing but failure. But when I rephrase how I'm looking at him, I see somebody who is getting better. And I see somebody that I may be hard on and somebody that I may need to give grace to, because ultimately he was a very young football coach. Very young. I have had so many jobs my entire life, and one thing I can say is I'm much more mature now. There are jobs that I had when I was younger. I fucked those jobs off because I didn't care about that job more than I cared about the respect that I demanded from the people that were going to be my peers at the job. So when I hear about some of the shit, Lane Kiffin at Tennessee, Lane Kiffin with the Raiders, USC, when I hear about some of those stories, some of the immaturity, one, it makes sense how he's so viral, how he's such a personality these days. But two, it makes sense from a standpoint of, bro, he was figuring this shit out. One could say, sure, he was failing up. One might say that. But I'm going to say that he was figuring this shit out. There's no need for me to have expected him to have a championship at USC simply because USC had the roster. It still takes a man who can be a leader amongst young men and get these young men to see the vision. Formulate that vision. After Lane Kiffin had some of those failures that I'm calling failures that I thought were failures that then he goes to Alabama and then he gets to work with Nick Saban and it's like, whoa, that's how it's done. Cool. Let me use my style with his style and I'll form my own style. And that's what we saw on display at Oklahoma. Oklahoma is such an interesting football team to dissect. I've been doing this who's the biggest fraud of the SEC. And Oklahoma didn't have to be on that list, dog. Because they got the pieces. They got the defense. They got all the pieces, dog. I believe Oklahoma fucked up when they rushed John Mateer back onto the field. Because his flow is not there right now. Because he's thinking about his hand. He's thinking about trying to perform as opposed to him just letting it rip. I genuinely believe that if Oklahoma plays Hawkins in that game versus Texas, they give their team a much better chance than they had with Mateer. And you just saw what Texas and Mississippi State was looking like. There's absolutely a chance that an Oklahoma team with Hawkins at quarterback wins that game. There's a chance. Arch played very well in that game, but there's a chance Oklahoma wins that football game. Just with comparable quarterback play. Fast forward, and then you got Oklahoma at Ole Miss. Very big game. But John Mateer wasn't responsible for those 26 points. If we look at John Mateer's numbers, 17 of 31 for 223 yards and 1 touchdown. It's not awful. But were you watching the game? If you was watching the game that you saw, he wasn't helping this team more than he was kind of just there in the middle. He's missing throws. He's taking sacks. He's struggling on the run. He's just struggling. He just looks like he's been struggling for weeks now. Such a far cry from the start of the season where everybody is like, this John Mateer guy is a Heisman. If he's the Heisman, he ends this game with 3 touchdowns and he wins this game for Oklahoma. But Oklahoma, they couldn't stand the idea, the possibility of looking fraudulent. And so they overcompensated for the schedule that they have, for the rivalry that they have with Texas, and they rushed John Mateer back out there, and this is the product that we're seeing on the field now. Now, just to U-turn back to the actual game that was at hand here, I just want to say, I'm not going to focus too hard on the stats. There are some really dope stats to look at. Satania, he balled. That guy's a baller. Grade A baller. I can look at the stats. The stats are somewhat even in some regards. What I saw, though, was Ole Miss is better than Oklahoma. Both teams are stacked. But ultimately, the coach at Ole Miss is better. He's already been working through 2 quarterbacks all season to work through Simmons and with Chambliss. Whereas Venables just couldn't stand to put Hawkins in the game when they should have. So automatically I can say I like Lane more than Venables. I love Venables on defense, and I believe John Mateer and Arbuckle have been making the biggest difference for Oklahoma this season, but they couldn't do it this past weekend. Seeing Lane Kiffin on that sideline, it was doing something to me. Pause. It was doing something to me, though, from a standpoint of seeing a coach who he can be expressive, but it wasn't a bad thing. I'm seeing a coach who was leading in his own way. I'm seeing a coach who is playfully beefing with the other team on the sideline and on the damn hot mic. I kind of love it, dog. And, I still stand where I've been standing. My idea hasn't changed. My mind has not changed. John Gruden is still the #1 coaching candidate for the Florida Gators. If you ask me, I am his agent, and I am campaigning for him. But if I'm just gonna keep it 1,000%, I can't lie. Lane is starting to he's growing on me. Big win for Ole Miss. Huge win. One of the biggest wins in their program's history. Because they could have absolutely lost this game, and then we just keep that same narrative. Oh, here comes Ole Miss. Lame Kiffin. Here they come. Here they go. Nah, that's not what they look like. They look like a team of destiny. But I will be real. I don't think they beat the Gators. I don't think they beat the Florida Gators. I think they struggle with South Carolina. We'll see, though. They should blow South Carolina out. They should blow South Carolina out. Just if you're a really, real sound, disciplined football team, you should beat the shit out of them. But I don't know that they will because this is the SEC. South Carolina's talented. They got pieces. Okay, they look like they was putting that together against Alabama. Why don't they show up this next week? Is that game Is it a home game for Ole Miss, or is this an Ole Miss home game? So we'll see. Are they going to be so comfortable because they can feel how big that win was with Oklahoma? I mean, Oklahoma had a better record than South Carolina. Are they going to come into this game for South Carolina with their mindset like, y'all been losing to everybody. Y'all going to clearly lose to us too. What's it going to be? How are they going to look? To me, the best way to judge a football coach, especially in college football, can you get your guys ready to play the game against whichever team they're playing against? Can you mold them for that game? Can you reshape the way that they were playing that game, the way that they're approaching the game this week, since this week they're playing against a team that really likes to focus on run first? Can you get them to come into this game focusing on that, since your strength is actually in your secondary? The coach who can do that within a 3-day to 4-day span, 4 to 5 day, I should say, we play on Saturdays, I guess, 4 to 5 day span, 4 or 5, 6 days, however you move with the team. Can you communicate what these guys need to hear so they can show up each week the way they need to show up and not just how they found themselves showing up? You saw the way Colorado just got spanked versus Utah. Why aren't those guys ready to play? Why was it that Ole Miss was able to show up at Norman, Oklahoma, underneath the rain? Maybe I should just say with the rain falling, but they're under the rain. Rain is falling on their heads, and they can play as well as they played. I mean, dog, to me, you ask me, Chambliss balled. And his numbers are somewhat similar to Mateer's, only 1 touchdown, but he made more throws. He completed 7 more passes. He threw for 80 plus yards than Mateer. So this means he kept drives along longer. He kept drives alive longer, and he pushed the ball down the field more often. That's what that means. Just because the yardage seems like it's close, it doesn't mean that it is. Oklahoma only had 1 sack. Ole Miss had 3. Since when Ole Miss looked like they play any defense? They did in this game. Oklahoma had the ball for 24 minutes. Ole Miss had the ball for 36. That's what I'm talking about right there. I mean, Ole Miss did a fantastic job. They ran the ball well. They threw the ball well. 2 for 3 on 4th downs. 9 for 21 on 3rd down, though. So that's messy. And that's where some teams can beat them. If you can be more efficient than Ole Miss, if you can make them pay for not converting on a 3rd down, if you can make them pay, if you can come down, move the ball down the field, get to the red zone, score, and let them know we're not trading punt for punt. We're not going 3 and out for 3 and out. No, we're moving the ball down the field to score. Then you could beat this team. You're going to have to be consistent, though, because Ole Miss is the kind of team that can put up 50. You dig? Guys, if you got to this part of the video, though, I appreciate you. Would appreciate you 10 times more if you just tap that subscribe button. That's right there. Right there. It's right there. All right, I got to go to hit 10,000, 10K by the end of this year. It's not going to happen without you. You dig? Thank you so much for being here, because you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. You dig? I see you, Lane. I see you. I see you. I see you.